Hey everyone, welcome back to another video from Aurora Fire Rescue. I am here today with Paramedic Tyler Smith, and he's kind enough to give us a tour of Engine 2. We haven't done a feature on apparatus yet, and there are more engines than there are anything else at Aurora Fire Rescue. Tyler tells me that's because they're the best rig compared to a ladder, is that right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So we're gonna show you all the details of this rig, what it does, what it's capable of, what's inside all the compartments, and I think at least when I go to public events, most of the time kids want to sit in the engineer seat. So maybe that's where we'll start and we'll work our way around.
All right.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll start there. This is the engineer. They drive the rig. They control the pump, run all the lights and the sirens, lots of buttons, and do a lot of stuff. They get us to the qual safely and quickly, so that we can get out and do all the work.
And does that take special training, or can any firefighter jump in that seat and do that job?
It does. So it's a promoted position. So they start out as a firefighter, and then they take a test, they do some extra training, and then they can get promoted to be an engineer. Right.
This is your office, right?
Yeah, this is the best seat in the house right here. So this is the 0.3 seat. This is where the firefighter paramedic sits. It's a little bit different than the front seat. We have our air packs built into the seat. So the backpack that we wear that has clean air, so that when we go into a fire, we don't have to breathe the smoke. We keep some equipment in here, some medications, and we have seats for 4 firefighters, but we usually only run with 2 back here. And yeah, we keep our equipment, our coat, helmets, all that stuff back here so we can get dressed and get to your call as quick as we can.
You mentioned something that is unique to Aurora Fire Rescue from some of the other fire departments that I've visited before, and that's the 0.3 seat. Can you explain what the point system is with the seats?
So the 0.3, that's just to identify kind of on the radio which position you are. And usually the 0.3 is the firefighter paramedic in the rig. So we'll have at least one of those on every apparatus in the city, or every engine or truck. Sometimes we have more, but at a minimum, the 0.3 is going to be a paramedic. And that's one of the things that makes us different than some fire departments, is that we're always staffed with paramedic, so we can provide that highest level of care as soon as we get on scene. And
then what are the other points? So if you're 0.3, what are the 1, 2?
So the officer is usually on here, engine 2.1. The engineer is 2.2. The fire paramedic is 2.3, and then our firefighter is 2.4.
Awesome. Thanks for explaining that. All right, moving on. What do we got in this door right here?
In here, so we carry a halligan and an axe, and when we put those together, they're called the irons. Those help us get through locked doors or make access to buildings. We also have what we call the can. It's just a water extinguisher. It holds 2.5 gallons of water. For smaller fires. Here we have 2 of our firefighting hoses. We call them attack lines. They're 1 3/4 hose. They have a 7/8 smooth bore nozzle, and that flows 160 gallons a minute. And this is kind of the standard kind of line that we would take into like a regular house fire. And we have one that comes off going each direction, and then we also have some more off the back that I'll show you in a minute.
Awesome. We have lots of astute viewers when they watch these videos. What do we have behind the diamond plate compartments down there?
So this one has some silicone lube for the pump panel.
Okay.
We have a lot of space on these rigs, so not all of it is necessarily full with a ton of stuff. This is a 25-foot piece of hose that we use just for kind of like filling the tank up after a small fire. Then a couple other tools, a mallet and a hose roller to help us get some of the air and water out of the big 5-inch hose that we use for the fire hydrant.
Nice. So some people are probably familiar with a fire engine that has a pump panel right here. This one does not.
No, so we have a catwalk pump panel. So our engineers get to stand up here and they get a really nice view of the fire scene, and they can see all around, and all the levers and all the controls for the pump are up there.
Nice.
You want to go up there?
Yeah, let's take a look.
All right. So here's our pump panel, and this is operated by the engineer. So it has all the levers to bring water into the pump, set the pressure, and send water out of the pump into the hoses.
And really close access to that deck gun.
Yep. The engineer, this is kind of the nozzle they get to operate. This is our biggest nozzle, so it can flow anywhere from 500 gallons of water a minute all the way up to 1,000. So we can make, if we have a really big fire that we need to knock down really quick before the firefighters can go inside, the engineer can give it a quick wash with that, knock down the fire so that we can get in there and do what we do.
Nice. What are these?
Those are just scene lights. So those can extend, but they can raise them up a little bit, and we can get a good lighting on scene of like a car accident or a nighttime fire, so that we can have good visibility when we're out there and be safe. All right, so yeah, as we come around, there's tools all over the fire engine. So like even right here, we have these wrenches, they're called spanners. And then this is a hydrant wrench. That's what we use to open and close the fire hydrant to get water out of. And then this is part of the pump. So this is the intake. So this is where we put the big hose that brings the water in from the fire hydrant. And then we have some discharges, some of the places where we can send water out to our fire hoses.
What's behind that compartment there?
So that's just access to the pump. So you can see the pump and a bunch of the hoses from the manifold and valves and stuff. It's just access for the engineer when they're doing their checks in the morning to make sure that there's nothing leaking or broken and that the rig's in service and ready to use.
Nice.
And then this is our first big compartment. For the most part, it's the engineer's compartment. This is where they store their equipment because there's not room for them to store it in the driver's seat. So some of their stuff, and then we also have some of our smaller sections of supply hose. So we have a 25-foot supply hose and a 50-foot. So if the 100-foot sections that we have in the back, if that's too much or just not enough, we can make up the difference with what we have here.
And a lot of people are probably familiar with backup cameras. It looks like there's one on the side of the rig here. Yeah, so there's cameras all over this rig. So it has a 360-degree camera view on these newer rigs. And on the console that's in the engineer seat, so if we're backing up or something, not only do we have the firefighters out there helping spot the rig, but they also have camera and they can see all around the fire engine. So it just makes us safer. Nice.
And in here we have mostly extra appliances and stuff. So this is all stuff that we can use to put together to make different like hose assemblies, kind of like a gated Y, some extra nozzles. The blue nozzles are for use on our foam. So if we're using different foam, it flows a little bit different. And we want a fog nozzle for that stuff. A couple of our different master stream nozzles. This one would be the fog nozzle for the deck gun. And then this is the fog nozzle for our ground monitor that I'll show you in a second. And there's some other fittings, some double males and double females, because if we have to, make hose connect that the fittings aren't really lining up, we can put some adapters on there to make them connect. Our Bresnan nozzle, so we could use that for like certain types of attic fires or basement fires to go in there and spray water just all over the place.
And that spins around, right?
Yep, it does. So when you spray water through there, it's just like a big sprinkler head.
Nice. Yeah.
These ones.
Let's take a look behind those.
So these just hold the wheel chocks.
Oh, okay.
For the rig. So when we park, we'll put those up as an added safety. And that's where we keep those. And then there we have an extra bottle for our air pack, and that's where we fill our diesel.
Okay.
And then in here we just have, it's a big toolbox. There's a lot of stuff. So we have a fan that we can use to blow smoke out. Here we have a couple of specialty tools because we're at Station 2 and we are the hazmat team. So there's some equipment for gas emergencies in there. Just like a regular tool bag with, hammers and nails and wrenches and stuff like that. Some chains for the winter time because we are in Colorado. We got some absorbent for like oil spills or fuel spills so we can clean up small things. And then we have some of our ground monitors. So this one actually works with the one up there. That can detach and then we can put it on here so it's more mobile. so we can move it around and supply that with a couple of hoses if we need a lot of water, but the engine can't reach it. And then we have a little bit of smaller one. This one's called the Ram. So this can go 200 gallons all the way up to 500 gallons. And that's more of a defensive type nozzle, or if like there's just a very large volume of fire that we're trying to knock down before we can get into that space, we can use that. Like our, and up here we have our lock set for like if you lock your keys in your car, we can help get your car unlocked, and a drill and a Sawzall, and then some triangles in case we break down.
Hope that doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Way up at the top, what kind of hose are we looking at there?
So up there, so that is suction hose. So that's if we're unable to get water from a fire hydrant. This fire engines have the ability to pull water out of like static water sources, like a lake or a stream or even a pool. So we have two of those, one on each side, so we can get, if we can get the rig within 20 feet of a static water source, we can hook that up to our intake and pull that water into the rig to use for firefighting.
Nice.
And then back here, this is the bulk of our firefighting hose. So this is the 5-inch hose that we connect to the fire hydrant. So like when we're going to a fire, we'll come and we'll put this strap around the fire hydrant, and then we'll drive to the fire so that we have our supply hose and we have plenty of water to fight the fire.
How many feet lay flat of 5-inch hose there?
There's 1,000 feet of 5-inch hose. So we usually have plenty of supply hose to make that, but every now and then other rigs will come and help us finish out that stretch or the lay, and you know, we can combine and make longer lays.
Okay.
And then we have two more of those 1 3/4 attack lines. The same nozzles, the 7/8 tip on a smooth bore. They're each 200 feet. And then we have our 2.5 attack hose. So it's a little bit bigger. So this flows 260 or 330 gallons a minute. And that's more for like commercial fires, or if we're fighting fire from the outside and we just want a ton of water, we can use that.
I think this is a good time too to point out that's a lot of water, and this water tank holds how much?
500 gallons.
So that would go in just a matter of a couple minutes if you were on tank water.
Yep, that goes pretty quick. That's why it's important for us to use our supply hose and get that down early so that we can have all the water that we need to keep fighting fire.
Nice.
And then over here, this is called the static beds. So this is 2.5 hose that we can use for supplying like FDCs, so like the connections on the front of buildings that would put water into the standpipes or the sprinkler system. So we can use that to hook into those, or if we need to do a really, really long attack line, we can use this to build that out. But it's kind of just like extra hose that we could use for other things.
And do you just have that eared like every 50 or 100 feet?
Yeah, so every 100 feet there's a loop, so we kind of know how much we're grabbing because we can estimate how much we need and then come and get that much and bring it out and get it hooked up and get to work.
Awesome.
And then even though we are an engine, ladders usually isn't one of our primary responsibilities, but we do carry 3 ladders. So we have a 14-foot roof ladder, a 24-foot extension ladder, and then we have a 10-foot folding ladder up here. And we also have a couple of different pike poles so we can pull ceiling down or grab onto stuff. And then this is our scoop board that we use for medical calls.
Okay.
And then up in this one, we just have shovels and stuff.
Okay.
Nothing crazy. Just more extra storage.
And then below the hose bed, what do we have there?
So below, this is where we keep our hydrant bag. So if we're gonna lay this hose out, we'll grab the bag and the hose, and this has all the tools that we could need to hit any kind of hydrant that we could come across. So everything that you need to get water out of the hydrants in the bag, then we got the hose, so they're good to go.
Perfect, nice and quick.
Yep.
Traffic cones, kind of self-explanatory
Yeah,
there.
we got traffic cones. We spend a lot of time on the highway and on the freeway. So we'll use the fire rig. I'm sure everybody's seen the rigs parked crooked on the road and wonder what the heck we're doing. So we'll use the rig a lot of times to build like a safe space for us to work and protect the people that are hurt in a car crash, or just the people that are working on the car crash. And we'll always use some of the cones because they're high visibility and helps warn people that you know, they need to move over. So we can help kind of direct traffic with these a little bit and make a safe space for everybody working.
Nice.
And then this is pretty much just hose that we would have to take inside of a building. So these are 1 3/4 bundles. We have 2 of them. They're each 100 feet. They have the 7/8 smoothbore nozzles on them. And we'll usually use these like if we're going into an apartment building and our pre-connected hoses aren't long enough. So we'll use these to extend those. So we can go up to 400 feet on any like single stretch without having to go to our static bed to go further.
Okay.
And then this is 2.5 bundles. There's a kind of high-rise pack. So if we're gonna go into the building and hook into the system in the building, we'll use these. So we carry 4 packs. They're 50 feet each, so 200 foot total. And it's got a 2.5 smoothbore nozzle on that with an 1.1/8 tip. But yeah, you might see us walking around in stairwells and certain types of buildings carry these on our back.
Wow.
Then we have a couple of little tool bags. This one's for us to hook into the FTC on the outside of the building, the fire department connection.
Okay.
So no matter what side of the 2.5 hose you get, you can hook that up. And then we also have in there our standpipe bag. So in this bag, we have all this stuff that we need to hook into the building system and set our pressures, and we pretty much treat the standpipe just like it's the pumper. So it gets a valve and a pressure gauge so we can set our pressure and kind of firefight remote from the engine.
Wow. And then it looks like maybe a couple breaching tools in here, or pry bar.
Yeah, we do. We have some bolt cutters and a big pry bar. You know, if we have to cut a lock or a chain or something like that, and the truck's not there to help us with that, we can do some of those things. And then we also have a sledgehammer as a striking tool to go with our Halligan bar. We have a couple of them spread out throughout the rig, so you know, you can find one when you need one.
Nice.
And then these are more just extra bottles for our air packs. So, you know, a lot of times we'll go in and fight fire and we'll go through more than one bottle in a fire. So we have plenty of clean air to breathe while we're working.
And what's the capacity on those for your breathing? I know it depends on your physical fitness a bit.
Yeah, so they're 5,500 PSI. So there's a lot of pressure in there. The bottles are rated for 45 minutes, but usually if you're working really hard, you're probably going to get around 15 or 20 minutes out of a bottle. And then this compartment, this is kind of like our taking care of us compartment. So we have, this is called a RIC pack, so Rapid Intervention Crew pack. So it's an air pack, but it's designed and used for rescuing a firefighter that got trapped. So if somebody gets hurt or stuck and they're low on air or have another kind of emergency with their air, we can bring the stuff that we need to fix that emergency. So that's just breathing air for downed firefighters. And then this is a special rope that we have that we use for search and stuff like that, because it's got loops and knots in it, so like we know how far we are into the building and we can hook onto it and do searches in different areas and keep track of everything we've done. And then this is just a little bit of utility rope that we use if we got to hoist tools or tie something off. Yeah.
What's the blue thing there?
So this is usually where we keep smoke detectors.
Oh.
we're out of them, so we're waiting to get some more. But if we go on a medical call into somebody's house and they either have an expired smoke detector or one that's not working, or there just isn't one, a lot of times we'll give them to them. So they're free and we can install them.
Yeah.
Because having a working smoke detector in your house is very, very important to, you know, if you have a house fire happen, a smoke detector lets you know quick and helps you get out in time.
Yeah. I'll throw a quick safety note in there. So if you live in the city of Aurora and you would like a smoke alarm because you don't have one or can't afford one, need one replaced, there will be a link in this video description for you to click on, and you can actually submit a request through the city website and the fire department will help get you one. If you don't live in Aurora but you still need one, contact your local fire department. They can probably help.
All right. And then this is probably the compartment that we use the most. This is where we keep our medical equipment. So we call the black kit, the orange kit, the yellow kit.
I wonder why.
Because of the colors.
So creative.
Yeah, so in the black kit, we carry our advanced life support airway equipment. So ET tubes for intubations and CPAPs and different stuff to help people breathe. And then our orange kit is kind of our just general medical kit. It has a bunch of different medicines, stuff to start IVs, take blood pressures, splints. A lot of our BLS stuff is in here. And then our orange kit, or our yellow kit, sorry, is stuff that's specifically for pediatric patients. So we have adult stuff in here and we have pediatric stuff in here. So we don't have to be sorting through as much stuff to find what we need when we're working on a kiddo.
Okay.
And then the blue bag is our oxygen bag. So it just has our oxygen tank and different masks and cannulas to help give people oxygen when they're having a hard time breathe.
Okay.
Another piece of supply hose. So we have some on each side and some wrenches. And then this blue bag carries extra seat collars and stuff. So if somebody's hurt their neck, we can help stabilize their neck. And then we have some other bags in here that are for what we call like mass casualties, or where there's a lot of trauma. It has like tourniquets and needle decompression and stuff to bandage wounds and take care of a lot of people at one time.
Sure. I see the extra oxygen cylinder in here. That's what you give patients during a medical emergency. How is that different than the air that you have on your back when you go into a burning building?
So this is 100% oxygen. So it's, and we have a fill station here. So this one's an extra. So if this runs low, we don't have to go out of service to fill it. We have a backup. But yeah, this 100% oxygen. The air packs that we wear to go into fires just has air. So it's the same air that we breathe all the time. It's just compressed. So that's the difference between those.
Okay.
And this is just the other side of the pump panel. We have another intake, some more discharges. This is our large diameter discharge. So if we were using this fire engine to like boost hydrant pressure for a long supply lay, they can supply our 5-inch hose and pump it to the next rig so they have more water and pressure to fight the fire with. And some more wrenches. Just got a rubber mallet in there. And I think this one's empty. Oh no, got an extra elbow.
Extra elbow.
Extra
Never
elbow.
have enough elbows.
Yeah, and then those same attack hoses, just the ones that come off the other side, 200 feet of 1 3/4 hose.
Nice.
And this is the same like on the other side, except it has a different kind of extinguisher. So we have the irons over here, and then this is a dry chem extinguisher. All right, so this is the 0.4 seat. Looks a lot like 0.3. Yeah, they have their air pack and our tablet for taking notes and writing reports on. Keep our equipment in there.
Nice.
And then we have the officer seat. So they have the same setup like we have with their seat. They have their air pack in the seat. They have a couple of different pieces of equipment that only the officer carries, like the thermal imaging camera. So this helps us kind of see through smoke and we can see heat. So it helps us navigate through a fire. And they also have the MDC. So that gives us, like, it alerts us that we have a call to respond to, as well as some other things. And then it helps us get to the location and get some of the notes from our dispatchers, so we know what's going on as best as we can before we get there. So we call this the bumper line. It's 100 feet, it's 1 3/4. It's a little bit different because it has a fog nozzle on it. And we'll usually use that for car fires or dumpster fires or smaller fires.
That was an awesome tour of the engine. Really, really appreciate it. We've had a lot of questions from the folks watching this, what the difference is between an engine and a ladder. And since we haven't gone into detail yet on a ladder company, what are those key differences?
So after getting to see all of those hoses and different tools that we have, our main job when we go to a fire is to put water on the fire and to put the fire out. So the ladder company, their responsibilities are more search and going into the building and trying to find people that are trapped and remove them, and then also help get some of the smoke out of the building. But our job is to stretch one of these hoses, go find the fire and put it out. That's the big difference there.
Awesome. Yeah, that was great. Huge thanks to Tyler for showing us around this engine. If you have questions that we didn't answer after you watch this video, please let us know. You can write us a note here on our social media accounts, or you can send me an email, afdpio@auroragov.org, and I'm happy to send that over to Tyler to get more answers to your questions if you have them. Please give us your video suggestions. This has been great. An engine tour was one of those, and I will see you in the next video.